All right. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all have been well in these extremely crazy times, and I would like to welcome you all to the very first in a long line of what should have been character design sessions, or at least character design videos. So, the first character we have here is just going to be a character I thought up long ago and never got around to designing. So, I took the time in April to design a character, design a visual representation of what it would be, and then I fleshed it out. That's what you'll see in the first couple of minutes, and then after that, in about 5 or 6 minutes, you'll actually see where I went with the character. You all just enjoy, and I will be here as well. I'm going to talk about a couple of other things besides just the character. I have a long list of things. Well, not really a long list of things. I wrote down like 5 points, and I'm going to get to those, and each of those points has like A, B, and C things of that nature. So, again, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you all in a couple of moments. Also, before we get too deep into the video, I would like to remind you all to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and let me know about any other character design ideas you may want to see in the future that I haven't thought of yet. I really enjoy making these types of videos. They just take a long time to produce, just because I want to make sure I have certain things written out before I just jump onto them. Alright, so the first thing I did want to go ahead and talk about here was this character's name and the not really long backstory behind it, because it's not really that long. So this character's name, her name is actually Raish Almawt. Ras'Almawt, which, when translated from Arabic, is the demon's head. That's Ra's al Ghul, sorry. Which, when translated from Arabic, means the head of death, or death's head. Which, as you can see, I got Ra's al Ghul. I got inspiration from Ra's al Ghul, the character, because I really liked that character. All of Batman's characters, that's my favorite so far. Well, besides Joker. Anyway, so I chose that name because after countless hours, I realized that it is extremely difficult to learn how to pronounce cuneiform writing, or the writing language, the system of writing that they used in ancient Babylon, which this character is based in, or at least is where I decided to base her in. It was a fun endeavor to try and do, but it failed maliciously, and I'm not too proud of that. I spent too many hours trying to figure this out, so it felt like a waste of time. But I did learn a couple of things about cuneiform, like how much my handwriting actually mimics it. Anyway. So yeah, that's kind of fun. The way I actually ended up creating this character came from the slight pantheon of other characters similar to this, who all are part of the body of death. We have the head, the legs, and the arms, and the torso, and all that good stuff, which was appropriate, but at the time I didn't really have any other substance to add on to it. But thanks to, sleepless nights and me forgetting how to think sometimes, I ended up making and adding on to the backstory of all these characters. And it came to what you see here. So right now we are kind of finishing up the very first outfit that we had. This black outfit was just a test to see how I wanted to make her, more or less. And because I'm lazy and this is digital art, I decided to take the heads and use them, copy them and use them on the other models. And on top of that, I want to thank Rossdraws for providing this character sheet that I can use to model everything. It really helped. It really helped with saving time along. Phrase this right. It really helped with setting up the style that I wanted to use to just make this character and make it as simple as possible, because I have a habit of overcomplicating my designs. And because of that, that's one of the goals that I set for myself, to kind of just shy away from. But at the same time, I don't want to break it off. I don't want to break that habit too much, because it's still helpful in the future. Well, it still will be helpful to me in the future. And now I am just picking a color scheme for it. I decided because this is a royal priestess, and also because I looked up a Babylonian priestess, I got a character from Dead by Daylight, which I had no idea existed. This character, not the game. I like the game. Because the game existed, I ended up taking a couple of designs, a couple of pieces from that character and putting it here, because that character had the exact thing that I wanted. And that's the great thing about art, yet the one thing about art: nothing's ever truly original. And sometimes that's not a bad thing, and other times it ruins your ideas. So now I wanted to test out skin tones, because I'm so bad at coloring. Every design session is always a opportunity to learn how to color a little better. So because she is Babylonian, which is in the Middle East, which is in the modern day Middle East, I wanted to make sure her skin was dark. A particular shade of brown that I haven't figured out still, even though you'll see it a little later. But right now, the biggest, well, not really biggest obstacle, but I'll say biggest idea in my head was the clothing that I wanted to use for her. Raish is supposed to be a priestess, like I said, so I had to make sure I got some priestess clothing together, or at least some priestess clothing that would look like priestess clothing in the modern day. I messed up how to say that. But that's kind of where most of these ended up coming from. I like shoulder pads, so I wanted to keep that going. And once I figured out what I wanted to use for the torso, I ended up a couple other things ended up just sliding together, which was super helpful. So I kept on I decided to trace the body models that were on the sheet that I have, and kind of get that sheet out of the way so I can keep it a bit more, keep the whole page less busy. Well, as simple as possible, and keep it from being too busy. So when I got down to the legs, and for this first outfit at least, I wasn't too sure what to do, so I ended up keeping the dress that I had in mind at first. And this will change, spoilers, but this will change a little later. And once I figured out what I wanted for the feet, everything else started to get better just a little bit. But because I'm so bad at drawing toes and feet as a whole, you're gonna have to look at these monstrous atrocities for a bit, but not too long. So I wanted to use I don't know what they're called, but they were a particular type of foot covering that I've seen a lot in how would you say it, priestess outfits, female outfits that were I'll figure it out. I'll see. But yeah, I'll say feet coverings for right now. The little shoulder pad and the gray, the shoulder pad I wanted to keep, but I wasn't too sure how I wanted to use it, and that kind of just got overlooked by the colors that I wanted to use. I wanted to go for a gray and a gold, or at least a silver and a gold, because that particular shade of gray is supposed to be silver, but even in hindsight, it still doesn't look as silver. I feel like I could make that silver just a little brighter. But I ended up blending some more items in as well, so I was able to make them just look a little bit more lighter, a bit more lighter, so they won't be too gray. And as I'm working on the feet here, I liked the wrappings. The wrappings of the foot, the legs and the calves here. Well, the calves here that gave me an idea for something later that I ended up keeping. I really liked here, but again, I'm not at the time. I'm still not at the time. I wasn't feeling it, and right now I'm still not feeling what I did with the legs. Well, the shoes. Okay, we're gonna call them shoes for right now, because until I decide to look up what the actual thing is, I'm just gonna keep bumbling for an answer that's not gonna be there. So on to the next one. I did want to use gold lace. That's probably why I colored them gold. So just going ahead and tracing some items here. And while that happens, let's see, there was another point. So for the mid dress, I really liked this one. This outfit, the second outfit, was a bit more of a better step in the right direction for me. So I ended up using the dress, the mid dress, well, the angled dress. Yes, because again, I don't know fashion. I used the angled dress a little bit more here. I just inverted it, moved it to the right instead of the left, and I kept the accents, and then I added the wrapping on the waist, which I really liked, and it made me think of a better idea that comes later. And since that was a little bit better, I wanted to keep it at first, but then I got another idea. So now I'm just taking the binds and adding them onto the face. A cool thing about the bind that I wanted to go ahead and keep at, because these patterns are the more difficult parts of these characters, because I had to end up designing about 6 very intricate and very long patterns that would overall cover the entirety of the human body, but it's just split up into 6 sections, since there are 6 characters that embody this they embodied the body of death. So now I wanted to this is my first time actually doing this, but I wanted to experiment with how far back this particular bind, because I call them that, they're bound to death and everything. I wanted to see how much I wanted the bind to actually go back down the body, or at least go across the head. So with the bind basically done now, we can go ahead and do something else. But with that bind in mind, that is causing me to think right now whether or not I want to go ahead and have the next design session with Crone, because I have only drawn him 2 times, but I have a long story that I actually wrote about him. I'm not too sure. So yes, okay, I really need to get back into drawing feet a little bit more, because that is awful. But it is a placeholder, just like 0. So that's my excuse. Yes, on the record, that's my excuse for why I can't draw feet. So we're going ahead and just knocking in that color, and I wanted to experiment. I did this off screen, but I wanted to make sure the overall color layout for the gold and the silver actually made sense, because I reversed it and used gold as the dominant color, and I really didn't like it. And I feel that because it is ancient Babylon, they may have used bronze. Off the top of my head, I actually do not know, because it's been a while since I've really studied that society. So that's what I ended up going with, just the overall gray, the gray and the silver, which would make more sense later on anyway. And right now we are on to the second pattern, second set of clothing, because I ended up doing 6 outfits in total. And because I have a full editor in my head, as I was doing most of these, I was able to more or less edit out without having to draw out too much of what I wanted to see in most of these characters. So as you see from the last one, I ended up taking that waistband, the waist wrap, I should say, and I kept that. And I really like that because of, well, honestly, I haven't seen waist wraps on a character design in a while, other than them being a mummy from ancient Egypt, because all mummies are from Egypt, right? So I ended up deviating from the norm, and I ended up using, instead of giving her a full dress, I decided to give a front cloth. Yes, that's the name of it. A front cloth, as well as a back cloth, and then some side ones, which made more sense to me, because these side cloths will actually just meet in the middle, and you'll see that a little later when I draw it in. They'll meet in the middle to form a actual skirt. It'll just be a little high until I lower it in the actual character. But I like that bottom a little bit better than I like the top here. I like the shoulder pads, and then along with the actual sleeve, the sleeves that I used here, I really felt something coming together now. And that leads into the next one, but there was another thing here. Oh yeah, I really still think I made the shoulder pads too big, which is why you'll see me erasing them a lot more. Yeah, I was on an 80s binge of media, and shoulder pads were a thing, which makes a lot of sense, because shoulder pads made women look a lot more masculine than they would typically would, which was cool to me, because it helped them compete in the workplace. Well, not really. I can't really say cool, because inequality. Well, anyway, back to this color, because that was a long rant. So I like the silver. Well, I like the whole layout here that I ended up using, and you'll see that being used a little bit more. Again, spoilers, but I couldn't help myself. That was this layout for this character in this out. Phrase your words properly. That fourth outfit fit a lot better than in my head after I got the first couple of outfits out of the way. And I really like that when it comes to character design, because when it comes down to, well, at least in my art process, there are a lot of things that you experiment with that look good in your head, but once you realize they are just absolutely terrible, and you don't really know what you were thinking, but you were thinking it. Like right now, this hood is just terrible. Like I had a feeling in my head at the time that this hood was going to be terrible, but I had to get it out of my head anyway, because it was clouding some judgment. So once I got it out the way, I'm not going to say everything improved, but this outfit is probably the least of the others. But I say least of the others, even though it contributed a lot of the accessories that I wanted to have on a character who would be a royal priestess, because in the other ones I kind of forgot to have some jewelry and things of that nature. I wanted to add a necklace, but again, that would make the character look too busy. And when it comes down to these, I wanted to keep these as simple as possible and then add on to them a little later, which helped, but I wasn't too sure as to what to do. So what I did here, I had because of the hood, this outfit made me look at her as more of a thief character, which in ancient Babylon or ancient Mesopotamia, which that would make a lot of sense. At least I'm messing up all my words again. That would make a lot of sense, but that wasn't the aim. Okay, so yeah, I decided to just draw big toes. Yay. So, the leg wraps. Biggest thing that I wanted to, that was the biggest takeaway from this 5th outfit, which really worked for me. I kind of liked it. I really did. But there was something missing at the time, and I realized it. I added in the accents, but the accents, they didn't really help. Not really. They were just lines going down the chest for no apparent reason, which again didn't really help because I was getting a little flustered here. But as I added color, I got some ideas, and then the bands came in. Again, the accessories for the jewelry, because she is a royal priestess. 3 bands on each arm made a lot of sense, but there was still something else wrong. So I colored everything in, and I wanted to go ahead and see what else I could do. And then I kept looking back over. Then I added something else. I just went ahead and added in the color, made some lighter gray splotches just to experiment, but that didn't work. The hood was screaming a big no, and I didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate it at the time, and I really don't appreciate it now. But a couple of other things did point out. Again, those leg wraps were calling, and I wanted to go ahead and take those, but I wanted to see how it will look in full color. Well, full color, as much color as you could right now currently use. I didn't color the waistband gold though. That's one thing that I don't want to say regret, but that's something I could have went ahead and looked at. But adding in some of the extras, I kind of see where I was going at the time. But again, I really do not like this one too much. I feel that if I could, I may just remove the hood and do some other things. But now I'm just overlaying everything just to see how it would look. Comparing, contrasting, because right now these were the 4 final outfits in my head that I wanted to use to make a final product. So now I'm just drawing some comparisons. I wanted to see what matched best with what didn't even look good. I wanted to see how the skin would work for the character, because if the skin was too light or I didn't blend it properly enough, it wouldn't have helped. So I ended up going that route. And on top of that, because of the hood, I ended up, again, this was off screen, but I ended up using a, what is it called? A drop down. It was a drop down, a dip in the neck. I dropped her shirt just a little bit just to see what I could use here, because I actually ended up thinking maybe I could use a scarf instead of a hood, but I don't think a scarf would be historically accurate to an extent. But again, these were things that I had thought of in a bubble, and I didn't really care to look at any historical documentation just to make sure it was a thing, because it wasn't as big of a deal. So I just decided to scrap it. But sadly, I wish I could have shown that. But that's something that I could use a little later. And so while we're doing all the coloring and everything, just to get off topic a little bit, well, stay on topic but not really on topic. Anyway, the one thing that I ended up, when I did some research to make sure I got the character placed right, was that each of the characters, each of these death characters have a particular mythology / religion connected to them, and because of that, I wanted to use the god of death in that particular mythology / religion to make sure they were to connect them to the others. So the Slavic god Vales, who I hope this is correct because it's been a while, but so the Slavic god Vales is actually the god of death there, while here the god of death is Nergal, spelled Nergal, or because Babylon and Mesopotamia have this little historical feud, maybe even Era, Erra, because now over time they became slowly interchangeable. So this character actually, just by virtue of me thinking of it and then doing my research, confirmed a couple of weird things. Because this character's main abilities are telekinesis and psychokinesis, basically other mind melding powers. Yeah, before to get off that for a second, again, I decided to keep the wraps, so I'm going to start transferring certain items over, and this is why I'm so glad this is digital art, because I can just select things and take them over and put them over, and that's how the comparison is going to be for a while. So back to the character. Because the head of death has the powers of the mind, again, telekinesis and psychokinesis, I felt that those actually symbolize destructive forces, or at least the destructive forces of human nature and of the natural world, a lot better. And again, in doing some research, just like the 5 seconds of research that I did because I'm lazy and I didn't want to do it at the time, Nergal basically symbolized the exact same thing in the Babylonian mythology, which was extremely weird, but I'm so glad it happened to be the case. So yeah, I decided to take 3 bands on one arm, the left arm, instead of anything else. From the 5th outfit, this is number 6, this is the final outfit. As you see, I did take the wraps because I love the wraps. Because I kind of stitch everything together, we're going to piece it up. I took the parts. Now we're going to stitch it together with ink and all that good stuff. And the overlay comes, and the overlay comes. So, because of the backstory I gave her, let's see, what was it? Yeah, so the story called The Wrath of Era, or again, The Wrath of Nergal if you want to be technical as well. It ends with the destruction of Babylon for no apparent reason, which I want to incorporate a little bit into Raish's story as well, just because I liked how the parallels. Again, I developed this character in isolation, but because of the basic things I used, this is how I know humans are connected so well. But because of the basic storytelling elements I used, I ended up having something I really liked. And yeah, that's basically how everything came to be behind this character right now. And that's kind of the wrap up here for at least the first little design session. And I'll make this a little bigger so you can actually see it. But as you see, the outfit right there in the middle is what I decided to keep. And I'm going to flesh out that outfit just a little bit more. I really, really appreciated this outfit, and I appreciated the couple of hours, well, days at least. You can see the timestamp at the bottom. Just how long it actually took. And because of that, I'm glad I was able to get this character properly made, so I can use her for future endeavors and illustrations and everything. Speaking of which, you'll be able to catch the first character illustration for this character on the next video. Actually, it'll be on Thursday, I think, possibly. So until then, I will see you all later, and I hope you did enjoy this kind of ramble commentary, because again, while I do have notes and everything to talk about, I get off a topic really fast. So again, I really hope you all enjoyed this little character design session. Long overdue as well. I have 5, because of these characters, I have 5 more left that I can actually use. So I may actually experiment and use those later on. But other than that, I hope you will leave a like on the video. I hope you will tell me what you thought. Tell me your thoughts on the video. Tell me your thoughts on my character design process at the very end. In the comments. I don't know why I said that. I hope you would subscribe as well, just to support the channel and so you can see future content, because again, I have 5 more of these illustrations in mind that I want to do, but I don't know how long I'll actually be doing those. But because I'm cooped up and everywhere else, I don't really know when these will happen, but they will happen. I think that's it. I'm going to end it there. So until next time, everybody, I will catch you all later.